just decide this, and this is just a just me talking video. What can I say? The consoles are out. Well, they came out on the 22nd, and I already did a video talking about it. And we're getting back some interesting reports. They're both pretty broken, except my PS4 seems to be working just fine for now. I plan on switching the hard drive later when I get some extra money in, and I want to do that first. And yes, I started playing games with my other hard drive mainly due to the simple fact that I'm not going to wait an entire month to run my PS4 and then install a new hard drive and then play games. I'm just not going to do it. I got the thing now. I might as well play it. I'm not going to leave. I also found out, and I was kind of wrong, that it doesn't play DVDs at all. Maybe that's why it doesn't have PlayStation 1 or 2 playback functionality. Minor problem there. I'll just have to get a DVD player to play my old DVD movies. Not a big loss. Reports of Xbox Ones are coming in. I can't tell you if it's bigger than Sony's problems or smaller than Sony's problems. I really can't tell you. But there's some interesting developments happening. Remember when I was talking about the bumpers on the controllers? Well, I always heard that the bumpers were going to be a bit of a problem, and apparently it turns out that it's somewhat true. If you haven't noticed, Review Tech USA put out a video, and one of the things that he was mad about was something that I predicted in an early video when I said there were some problems with the bumper buttons on the Xbox Ones. I didn't really say there were problems. It's just that I've been hearing people who were getting early copies, the reviewers out there, weren't happy with them. And, well, apparently there's a lot of people out there complaining, and it's gotten a lot worse. And Review Tech USA's video coming out the way it did with all the viewers that he has, it's really starting to shoot out there. I mean, I've been hearing the word bumpergate, or at least for some people I have. Look, I know I don't get all of these, like, tens of thousands of viewers, and I'm not going to get up there and say, well, I told you so, because I don't have a very complete amount of information going on here. But I have heard there were numerous problems with the bumpers. And I heard this from a bunch of early adopters who got their Xbox Ones, and all I did was just check the internet and looked up the bumpers. And shock of all shocks, it seems the amount of information on this seems to be growing. I thought it was just going to die out and just go away. I mean, it was just practically a rumor that I spilled out there. I mean, I didn't even think much of it. I didn't think it was going to be a big deal, but it seems to be getting bigger, shockingly. The other one is the disk drive errors, which isn't a really shocking problem there, because you know what happens if you move your Xbox 360 around while you have a disk inside running. Yeah, now you have a disc with a circle in there due to the fact that they did put some sort of shock absorber in there or whatever. I don't care. And I pretty much think they did the same thing with their Xbox Ones, but that's typical Microsoft. And of course, the overheat, the Xbox One actually gives out more heat. And I've actually seen the teardowns of the Xbox One and PS4. The PS4, it's all nicely packed together nicely. For something that generates less heat, it's not that bad of a control of an inside. And yet this thing is more powerful, not in just RAM, but this thing's got a GPU that can actually pump out 50 times more shader cells than anything. And then you got the other biggie problem. Apparently Microsoft developed their entire interface. Well, they modeled it after Windows 8. It technically is Windows 8. It's just Metro. And they basically designed it to, ease of use if you have to connect. And the Xbox One doesn't require you to have the Kinect hooked up into the Xbox One anymore. Instead, what they did was that they decided to make the interface so cumbersome, so hard to get through with the controller, that you'll have to use the Kinect. And it's kind of a little asinine little trick that Microsoft did. You don't want to connect? Well, we're going to make you want to connect. We're putting an extra $100 on this goddamn thing, and we're making it an extra $100 more than, the PlayStation 4 is, and we're going to make sure you use the fucker one way or another. You want us to disconnect it? Fine. We're just going to make your menu system so cumbersome and so hard to get through that, let's just say, you're going to have to use the Kinect no matter what, just so you can get through our shit more easier. Oh yeah, and you have to talk in straight Amitic lines, which basically means that if you have an accent or something, which is a little off, ain't gonna work for you. Yeah, you're just gonna have to learn to speak perfect English, or at least the American version of perfect English. So I can just imagine a bunch of British people out there pulling their hair out, and Doctor Who regressing back to his older version at this point, and his TARDIS just imploding. It's a joke. And Adam Sessler said it better himself. The Xbox One's a contradiction. He had his review. He gave it all high marks. In fact, all the reviewers did. And the one who gave it a slightly lower review had more interesting things to say about its TV functionality. But Adam Sessler said it better. He said that the Xbox One is a contradiction in itself. That it's supposed to be the all-in-one media machine, and where 1 minute they wanted you to always be hooked up online 24 hours. Of course, they removed that requirement, but are saying basically everything's going digital. But at the exact other time, like the back of the damn thing, they got an HDMI in port, a port for, HDMI in. And what does this port do? Oh yeah, it will stream everything from your cable box into your Xbox One. It's a contradiction. It literally is a contradiction. You're saying that video games and all this is going to go all digital, which it will be way more into the future, but yet we're going to still watch our TVs through our fucking cable box. Microsoft, what the fuck were you smoking? And I know. How can you say that the cable networks are going to slowly go away, go into internet streaming, but yet we're not quite there with gaming? There's an answer for that. Internet streaming of movies and TV shows doesn't really kill your bandwidth. And in fact, it's one of the most easiest things to do. And with our current technology of internet, we've been able to stream internet since, the end of the modems. The old telephone modems you hooked up in your telephone wire. Heard the beep sound. And it's gotten easier since then to stream video images. Now, remember that clusterfuck known as OnLive, where, you could stream your video games across the net? Yeah, well, it's dead. And the reason why is that streaming video games apparently eats up the bandwidth like a motherfucker. Because video games, I guess these people weren't doing their maths when they, were trying to figure this out. Video games take up a shitload of more information than, say, video. You're making video travel one way with only a few buttons from the other user to go back, play, pause, rewind, and all this shit. But when it comes down to video games, you're putting a whole variety of controls, as well as what other players and their controls and all the shit that they're doing, and you're trying to stream it all in one bandwidth, which just clogs the system up and slows your modem down to almost nothing. And all of you who have a Steam account are, downloads games by one way or another should know this. Downloading video games in general takes a long time. And it will, and I mean it will, eat your bandwidth. And yes, I'm well aware that downloading large video files, like an entire 4K or 1080p videos, would take quite a long time. But when you stream it, it's just a hell of a lot more easier. And besides, you're downloading a single file of a video compared to a video game which has tons of thousands of other files, as well as, just taking up those gigabytes up. So downloading and streaming video is just easier than video games, as of right now in our present technology. But nobody wants to listen to that. Instead, everybody thinks that tweeting is the new thing, and that doing YouTube videos or just making videos and replying to each other is the old thing. Yeah. So we've gone back in time in our communications. We now just tweet to each other instead of, video replies. But then again, we could thank Google, and they're fucking merging this crap with Google Plus. Fucking buggiest thing I've ever seen in my life. But we're not talking about that. So it is a contradiction. And this type of thinking is literally backwards. That streaming movies is harder than streaming games or downloading games? Microsoft, it's a contradiction console. And you contradicted yourself in just about every fucking way. I mean, integrating the cable box with your console, it's a good idea, but it was a good idea 5-10 years ago. Hell, it would have been great in the 90s. But today, with more and more people going onto the internet to stream their shit, there's no point in connecting your console to a cable box that's most likely going to go the way of the dodo. We're going to eventually go digital with our games in the future. But the way our technology is right now, it's just not feasible. That's why OnLive crashed the way it did. It just fell apart and crashed too fucking soon. And this is not our last generation of consoles. We'll just probably see the next generation of consoles either have disc in them to prepare you for the ultimate fact, or we'll just see them without disk drives. No more disk drives, just hard drives. Speaking of hard drives, we all know that the Xbox One has a non-removable hard drive. They basically put it into the back of their box. They made this whole thing exactly like a PC. It's very hollowed out. Basically meaning there's a lot of free space to move. I mean, you could hide shit in there. Literally just take up the cover and hide a giant piece of candy bar in there or whatever. Of course, it would probably destroy your Xbox One, but you could do it. And this thing, generates twice the amount of heat than what the PlayStation 4 generates. And by the way, don't put your PS4s and Xbox Ones or even your Wii U's into a small glass cupboard. You're going to burn the damn thing. That's how they die. You need them in open environments where they can breathe more, not just close them up behind some sort of glass cage and then just expect you'll never have to worry about them again. Next thing you know, your consoles ain't coming on again. Those rules apply to the 360 and PS3. They also apply to the Wii U, the PlayStation 4, and the Xbox One as well. It didn't apply to the original Wii because the original Wii, well, it basically was the last of the ancient old consoles. You know, the GameCube and all that other shit. But these new consoles, the heat they generate, put them somewhere they can breathe. But anyways, their whole encasing is pathetic. I still is confused why this thing is a giant box, a giant VCR box. And yeah, it has worse memory than the PlayStation 4, you know, the DDR3. But it also has lesser shader capabilities than what the PlayStation 4 can do. And I'm well aware, I said PS3 earlier, I meant PS4. But anyways, so the PS4 has more shaders and better RAM, and that new SE RAM really didn't help the Xbox One at all. Or SRAM, or whatever the fuck they called it. But anyways, this thing shouldn't be built as a gigantic monster, and it shouldn't be worth about $500. But you know, they're going to put a confusing little interface on there and tell you you're going to have to use the Kinect. But that's just the way it's going. Fucking scam all the way through. And we know the PS4 and the Xbox One will not have external USB support for a while. Now, the Xbox One is going to really need it. So how did Microsoft get around this little problem? Well, Sony, they got a replaceable hard drive. Microsoft, they got rid of the fucking memory management. There's no memory management in the Xbox One. They got rid of the whole fucking thing. You can get a memory management on your PS4, but when you get on your Xbox One, you ain't going to know how much space you're taking up. You're just going to have to calculate whatever disk you have in there and calculate it with the preference files and all that other shit. But chances are, by the time that the USB support has already come out, your Xbox One's going to be telling you to start deleting files. So you better keep a calculator next to your Xbox One to make sure you don't go over the 500 gigs. I'm still shocked that a million of you people bought that damn console. But I already talked about that in my last video. And yeah, it's a disappointment in sales. But it's also a disappointment in customers and how stupid they can get. Or watching David DeFranco's video where he was messing around with his Xbox One and thought that the fucking sync button was the eject button for a hard drive and that it was very simple to replace. My best guess is he just found out how difficult that is. And when I watched him use that controller and talk about the bumper buttons, even though he's saying that it was great and all, I could see pretty much the face reaction that you get of complete and utter denial. And we all know what follows up after denial. Anger. And we already saw that with Review Tech USA. And if things continue to go the same way, we're going to see a lot of angry people who bought Xbox Ones over PS4s. See ya.